Welcome back to another episode of Spirit of Justice. We are in the middle of cross-examining Mr. Anonymous, and, well, he was apparently the only eyewitness, and it's kind of fishy, all things considered, so, let's begin. Pressing on everything. Are you sure you're not mistaken, Mr. Emus? Was it really Mount Pony Pony that you climbed?
Oh, I'm sure of it. It was a really pony-ish mountain.
What does that even mean?
You know, now that I think about it, it was a mighty fine view.
Oops. If you hate crowds, why bother climbing to the top? Couldn't you have just as easily prayed at the bottom of Mount Pony Pony?
Wrong, bucko. This is a once-in-a-year epic event. I wanted to pray as close to the actual thing as possible.
If you're so gung-ho about it, why didn't you go pray at the Plaza of Devotion?
Like I said, I hate crowds. I wanted to pray in peace.
Oh, Holy Mother, why do I only get the annoying ones?
And my burning faith demanded that I climb up the mountain closest to the inner sanctum. Also,
since nobody was around, there is nobody who can corroborate your actions either.
hee-ho! You're exactly right.
In that case, Mr. Emus, let me ask you this. Was there a reason you didn't want to be seen?
About that. If you get caught climbing the surrounding mountains on the day of the rite, you could get in big trouble.
No shit, Sherlock.
Ha 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 ha.
Oh my god. That's it?
Yeah, it's totally embarrassing getting yelled at when you're a grown-up.
I'm not even sure if you're a grown-up. Yeah, you're a real grown-up, alright.
And since nobody was around, I lost all inhibition and...
You had a pair of binoculars with you. That's pretty convenient. You weren't planning to spy on the right all along, were you?
Actually, I just happened to have them for bird watching.
Bird watching, huh? I see.
You're not gonna keep pressing him on this?
He's sketchy as heck, but I don't really have anything I can really sink my teeth into yet.
Oh. Okay then.
Har, 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 har. I love the great outdoors. That's just the kind of guy I am. A guy called Anonymous, TBD.
What?
He's really starting to get on my nerves.
As I looked through my binoculars, I couldn't believe what was unfolding before me.
Did you really see what you say you did?
Are you saying I'm lying about this? Well, I'm not. It's etched permanently in this old noggin.
But I didn't do what you say I did. I didn't even get a chance to touch the dagger on the day of the rite.
What do I know of that? All I know is what I saw. I've never even seen you before in my life. What possible reason could I have to lie?
Ugh. I didn't expect there to be any witnesses way up there.
But I don't remember doing that at all.
I know. I have a feeling the witness is lying. Well, gee, I don't know. You have the Megatama, right? No. There has to be an inconsistency somewhere in his testimony. I should take another look at the court record. there is an inconsistency, and we're going to do that to the statement about him looking through binoculars, because there can't have been a way for him to do that because of these curtains that were around the area.
Objection!
Your Majesty, I had my doubts about this bushy bearded witness, but now I know we can trust him. We can't trust him. Excuse me.
What? You ain't just judging me solely by my bodacious beard, are ya?
Not at all, Mr. Emus. It's much more than your sketchy appearance. It's your sketchy testimony. Is testimony, you say? Yes, recall how the inner sanctum was that day. Specifically that it was completely enclosed by the ritual curtain. Why, yes, I believe you're right. The curtain would have completely blocked the witness's view from Mount Pony Pony. Therefore, he couldn't possibly have seen the murder happen.
Ah!
Mr. Emus, have you been knowingly making false statements to this court?
You got me.
Sure looks like it. The witness will lower his voice.
I didn't actually see the accused herself.
Why does he look so happy? He didn't actually see the accused herself? What's that supposed to mean?
Let me set the record straight. I beg ya.
The night of the murder, amended.
I saw their shadowy silhouettes, projected against the ritual curtain. The figures were created by the light of the full moon on that clear and still night. She was just a shadow, but I could tell it was the accused, reverse gripping that dagger.
Shadows? That's what you saw?
That's right. I could see what was going on by the shadows projected onto the ritual curtain.
In the future, Mr. Emus, I would rather you offer up accurate testimony from the start.
Forgive me, my mean man, Mr. Magistrate. Chalk it up to my fuzzy memory.
Though he saw but shadows, it is still valuable testimony. You have to be kidding me.
What are we gonna do now, Nick?
All I can think of is to look for inconsistencies between the actual right and what Mr. Emus says he saw. Now then, the defense may cross-examine the witness once more. So what you saw were simply shadows?
That's right. Those shadow figures on that bright white curtain. They showed through plain as day. I could see everything that happened.
But Miss Fay and Abbott and me were at the top of the mountain late at night. The only light up there was coming from 4 small lanterns. How could the shadows have been projected that clearly onto the curtain?
No wonder people hop on you lawyers. You're always so dang skeptical. The lanterns weren't the only source of light, you know.
You claim to have seen shadowy figures that were projected onto the ritual curtain. But did you really see them, Mr. Emus?
Course I did. The bright moonlight projected them onto that curtain, clear as day. It was like watching a scene out of a horror movie from my front row seat on Mount Pony Pony.
Huh. I guess the moon does shine a bit brighter when you're way up there. Maya, do you recall how bright the moon was that night?
I remember there weren't any clouds, and that the moon was definitely out. But I don't remember if it could cast any shadows.
Okay, thanks. We can't deny that the moon was really bright, which means it's possible that it was bright enough to cause shadows to appear.
I remember it just like it happened.
Oh, it's only 3 statements. Okay. Hang on. How do you know it was Miss Fey if all you saw were shadows?
It was that little bun on top of her head. Didn't need to see her face. That distinctive bob's a dead giveaway. Never underestimate my keen sense of observation. Now that's one funny haircut.
It's not nice to make fun of a girl's hairstyle. I like my hair this way. Besides, you're one to talk, you Sasquatch.
Maya's vicious!
You're not into this wild, manly look I'm sporting? Shows what you know, little girl.
Nick, isn't there some kind of a crime you can charge him with?
I'm afraid it doesn't work that way. Vicious Maya. Now he claims he only saw shadows? His testimony has sketchy written all over it.
Then there must be an inconsistency in there somewhere.
Yep. Was he really watching everything from Mount Pawnee Pawnee? If so, then I should see how his testimony lines up with the conditions of the rite. Thanks for the hint. Pretty much we're going to present the rights guide to the second statement. As soon as I figure out where it is. There it is. You saw silhouettes projected by the moonlight. Sorry, but that's just not possible.
What do you mean? How's it not possible that was totally possible? That's impossible.
I think I'm going to need a Logiclease translation on that. Let's take a look at this rites guide, shall we, Mr. Emus? The rite is held when the moon is directly over the summit of Mount Pawnee Pawnee.
Doot doot doot.
I can't. So if the moon was shining from the west, any shadows would have been casted eastward. But Mr. Emus was standing to the west of the inner sanctum of Mount Pawnee Pawnee. Oh, holy mother! That's right. Our witness here couldn't have seen any shadowy figures on that curtain.
No way!
Perhaps it was the sacred flames of the lanterns that cast the shadows he saw. I'm afraid not. I inspected them during my investigation, but the flames were too small to cast the crisp, distinct figures Mr. Emus claims to have seen.
But I did see those silhouettes. Really?
But how could he, Nick?
Maybe he was someplace where they were visible. Wait, don't tell me. Your Majesty, if Mr. Emus really did see those shadows, it brings a brand new fact to light. And that would be... the brand new fact that comes to light if Mr. Emus really did see those shadows is... he was somewhere else. He wasn't where he claimed to be at the time of the murder. Oh? Then where do you propose the witness was? Someplace where he could have seen the shadow figures naturally.
Wait, you mean...
None of the mountains east of the inner sanctum are close enough for a good view. That leaves only one place he could have clearly seen the shadows from. And where might that be? This is where Mr. Emus was at the time of the murder, at the inner sanctum. We're putting the pieces together now, right? We did find a set of prayer cloths. I forgot what they're called. I think they're prayer cloths that were just hanging out on just on the outskirts of the right barrier. Mr. Emus was at the inner sanctum, just outside the curtain on the east side. That's the only place from which he could have seen the shadowy figure. Ugh.
Really? Wow, I didn't even think of that.
But wasn't the inner sanctum off limits to all but the victim and the accused? And the third party who was there, you mean? I get the feeling that's a subject Prosecutor Samadi would rather not touch right now. Ah, you mean... That's right. This witness was at the scene of the crime, which means he is the mysterious third party we saw during the divination seance. He could be the one who dressed as Lady Kira and killed the High Priest. What? No one but the two participants were allowed anywhere near the inner sanctum, and the only way up there are the stairs that start down at the Plaza of Devotion. Well, I don't know, there's a prison up there. So tell me, how do you propose the witness enter that sacred space? Oh, he must have, I haven't thought that far ahead. I sure have! The sanctum has sheer cliffs on three sides and a steep towering rock face on the other. Excuse me. No one could have made it there by climbing the faces of those cliffs. His Majesty speaks true. To say Mr. Emus was at such an inaccessible location is but a bid to tarnish his credibility. Hello, there was a prison up there. Is that not right?
Right. I wasn't at the inner sanctum. No sir, no how. At least I'm pretty sure I wasn't.
He's pretty sure he wasn't. Goodness. Then, what about those silhouettes you claim to have seen?
I'm starting to think I've been imagining things.
Oh my god. What? This is insane! A Korean Larry Butts. I knew we couldn't trust that lawyer. He's trying to frame the witness. Peace, peace, I say. This is impossible. Unless I can show how he got to the inner sanctum. It just looks like I'm trying to slander Mr. Emus.
I believe in you, Nick. Rah, rah, sis boom ba. Fight, fight, Phoenix right.
Bless you, Maya. Just look at the accused. Has she no shame?
What's your problem, lady? Phoenix Wright is very trustworthy, I'll have you know.
She's got some nerve for a criminal. I bet that lawyer poisoned her mind. But please, Maya, you're only making it worse. I appreciate the vote of confidence, but it's probably best to keep it to yourself for now. I would advise the defense to think carefully before making any more sudden outbursts. Yes, Your Majesty. If I wasn't the bad guy before, I definitely am now. Now, Mr. Emus, I would like you to think back carefully before you testify next about where you were that night. Think carefully. This mystery fishy guy. Sure, I'm sure he'll do that.
I was never at the inner sanctum, I tell you. That much I'm sure of, even with the fuzzy memory. Besides, it would have been impossible to get there in the first place. Boy, you lawyers sure are scary.
I guess it might have been impossible for him to get to the inner sanctum like he claims, but... Now will you desist in trying to frame this innocent witness? Yeah, I'd like to see you explain how he got up there. Mr. Wright, is it not time to end these cross-examinations? No! No! I got 10 more minutes to do this! A moment of desperation leads to 100 million years of torment. It means that for each moment a sinner spends struggling to deny their sins, 100 million years of torment are added to their time in hell. Koreanism is the strictest religion ever. And just so you know, you've already accrued 200 million extra years. Plus the 500 million years they shared with that 700 million... Oh, that was fast.
Sure. What's another 200 million, give or take?
I love Maya's sass in this case. Well, it's a big deal to me. I can't keep saying that the witness was there at the inner sanctum if I can't prove it. The problem is, how am I going to do that? We're working on it. We'll work on it.
Hold it!
Are you sure you weren't there?
All I'm sure of is that you're deeply skeptical. Hey, Mr. Prosecutor, are all lawyers always like this?
Most certainly. They always try to pin crimes on innocent witnesses without any proof whatsoever. They are no better than bacteria or viruses.
Yikes! You mean he's contagious? He's gonna give me lawyeritis.
Stop this, man. Okay, this is getting ridiculous.
When was it not getting ridiculous? That was a close one. I almost put me there at the scene of the crime and I wasn't even there.
Whoops, no. We're gonna be skipping the third statement for last, because that'll continue this if we do. You just said your memory was fuzzy.
I sure did. What's the big deal?
I'll tell you what. Your testimony isn't very credible if your memory of the events is fuzzy.
Oh, no worries there. My memory may be fuzzy, but I'm very clear on one thing.
Here we go again.
If you asked me whether or not I remember what I did that night, I'd say I do.
In short, you are confident that your testimony is true. Is that correct, Mr. Emus?
Har 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 har. Exactly. Guess you don't get to be a judge for nothing. So, in closing, I can clearly say that I was totally not there.
Alright, skipping over that and then pressing on this. Now hold on, lawyers aren't scary.
But you're saying I was at the inner sanctum when I wasn't. Anyone who tried to frame an innocent man like that is scary in my book.
Lawyers are scary! Lawyers are scary! It's a setup! It's definitely a setup! I'm not trying to set anyone up. I'm going to provide evidence and explain exactly how it was done. The gallery speaks true. They know the depth of a lawyer's sin and the poverty of his virtue. There may be some bad apples, but we're not all like that, you know. Yeah, like seriously, there are more corrupt prosecutors than there are corrupt defense attorneys. As far as I've seen, in this universe.
Don't worry, Nick. I'll still root for you, no matter how morally bankrupt you become.
Thanks a bunch, Maya.
Har 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 har.
Mr. Emus wasn't at the inner sanctum, or more precisely, couldn't get there.
I don't see a way out of this.
Yeah, these kinds of debates only get worse if you argue them the wrong way. I'll have to pry some conclusive testimony out of him, and then present some evidence.
Like when you're trying to catch frogs from a pond. Once you've got a grip on one, you better hold on tight.
Right. Something like that. Alright, now we are pressing on the third statement about how it's impossible for him to get there. I wonder if it really was impossible for you to get to the inner sanctum. If you have something to say, just say it. Couldn't there have been another way to get there? A way that wouldn't attract attention?
No, there isn't.
Which means there is. Perhaps the defense would share its theory with us. I don't even have a wild guess, let alone a theory, though. Time to reach into my bag of bluffs. To reach the inner sanctum without attracting any attention, He climbed up the cliff, he came from the plaza, he fell from the sky. Maybe you fell from the sky.
The lawyer thinks he's a comedian now.
I was wondering what crazy theory you would propose next. Well, defense, let's hear it. Mr. Emus could have, parachuted down. We already know the weather was clear and there was no wind to speak of. Perfect weather for skydiving, I'd say. Now that you have been backed into a corner, your delusions grow ever more delusional. The inner sanctum is on a tiny ledge upon a sheer cliff about 2,000 meters tall. One misstep and a skydiver would soon find themselves in the Twilight Realm.
Yeah. I don't care how still the wind was. Even I couldn't have made that jump.
Wait! What's this building on top of the Sacred Mountain? That is Royal Penitentiary number 4. Oh right, Princess Rafa mentioned there was a prison up there. Now we get to the prison. How do you get your prisoners up there, anyway? By helicopter, but only with authorization from the Minister of Justice. He is the only one who can approve flights that pass over the inner sanctum. Might I also add, defense, that no parachute or any other equipment necessary for skydiving have been found. Are you sure?
Are you saying I flew down there by flapping my arms? I may be an incredible dude, but even I'm not capable of that.
Well, please add that statement to your testimony, Mr. Emus. Let's press it first. You wouldn't need to flap your arms if you had some gear. And as I have already stated, nothing of the sort was found in or around the scene of the crime.
I sure like to see some of that so-called gear you're talking about.
I know, but was there really nothing like that at the inner sanctum? What if there was something that could have been used as a parachute? I should give the evidence another look. You continue to claim that the witness was at the inner sanctum. Yet said claims shall remain but a claim without any supporting evidence, Mr. Wright. Yes, I realize that, Your Majesty. If I can't find any inconsistencies, I guess I could always try to elicit some more testimony. Well, we have that piece of evidence right here.
Objection!
Mr. Emus is right. He couldn't have skydived down there without any gear.
Well now, finally come around, have you? Now you see that I couldn't have possibly been there at the inner sanctum.
Right. If you didn't have any gear, that is.
What on earth are you talking about?
That overreaction is a dead giveaway that I'm on the right track. Take a look at this piece of evidence. Those are prayer flags, are they not? Yes, but they have been sewn together to create one big banner. A banner that could also function like a parachute. Pokanka. The people of Karayan are so used to seeing prayer flags that the police didn't even think twice about these flags during their investigation. No, this cannot be. Well, it is! The witness landed at the inner sanctum by using these prayer flags as a parachute. Is that not right, Mr. Emus?
There's no way out. I'm surrounded.
Mr. Emus?
All this talk's jogged my memory. I guess I was there at the inner sanctum after all.
Welp, this man, it took like how many testimonies to get to this? As I suspected, there were 3 people there that night.
You did it, Nick. You weren't wrong after all.
Thanks? Mr. Emus, you were the one disguised as Lady Kira that night, weren't you?
What? No way, no how. It's like this. Oh yeah. I was only there at the inner sanctum by accident.
By accident?
Exactly. And that thing's not a parachute. It's a homemade paraglider.
A paraglider? Are you telling me you could fly using that patchwork mess of material?
It may not look like much, but it's as sturdy as it can be. I rode the wind like an eagle, going higher and higher from my earthly launching point. But then something happened that forced me to land at the inner sanctum.
So you just happened to land there? You expect me to believe that? Now, please calm yourself, Mr. Wright. However, the fact that the witness was at the inner sanctum is crucial testimony indeed, and it certainly warrants further explication. Therefore, let's continue with more testimony. We shall continue for this testimony in the next video because we are now out of time. So, I'll see you guys then.